So, why Romeo and Juliet? Now, here and now? Well, there you have it. I guess you'd almost answer the question. Pardon. Here and now. Here, Manila, 21st century, is where we are doing Romeo and Juliet. It is where we are doing Romeo and Juliet, where we are setting it. That's not been hard, marrying the Filipino experience to this particular text of Shakespeare, because if ever there was a Shakespeare that sort of corresponded with Shakespeare, it would be Romeo and Juliet. A society that is still sort of stubbornly built on hierarchy, today on patriarchy and matriarchy, depending on the particular family situation, but where there is sometimes there is a extremely close bond between parent and child, and again, depending on the case, perhaps too close, perhaps fixatedly so. You maybe go so far as to say obsessively so at times, but then there's always a reason for that. We are, contrary to certain observations I've made over the years, we are a very passionate culture. I mean, I guess that's a bit of our Spanish influence, but then in our own way, in our own unique way, we are a very passionate people. We are a very loving people. We are a very big-hearted people. And the quest for love, the fight for love is, an immortal part of Romeo and Juliet. I think for the characters of Romeo and Juliet in a Filipino society, perhaps what they are doing, which we can also relate to, and the youth of the nation relates to, regardless of whether they're more provincial, more mestizo, or what have you, is that they're Romeo and Juliet are the kind of youth that are trying to strip away that which separates them from what is essential. We explore these things. We explore the sort of psychology of the characters. So we're marrying, it's not just, Manila is not the only sort of major incorporation that we make with Shakespeare. It's also 21st century. It's 21st century Manila. So if you really make it about the 21st century, you look at the psychology of the characters. You have to allow for the fact that there is subtext. Say that contrast of someone like the nurse, people like the nurse and the friar versus, say, Lord and Lady Capulet, and then maybe somewhere along that spectrum you have Romeo and Juliet trying to break free of certain social shackles. You have the Capulets, for instance, are a family that they are rife with tragedy. They're in fact sort of predisposed, you might argue, to tragedy because of little clues you receive in the text. We sort of notice that it's something they don't know how to talk about openly, and therefore tragedy, it's funny, and maybe because it is the 21st century, and if you are a modern family and you are a wealthy family, you feel that you're somewhat protected from tragedy, so perhaps you don't know how to process, you don't know how to cope if it in fact is visited upon you. Whereas if you come from a simpler background, like the nurse openly talks about how she's lost her husband and her baby girl, or her little girl, and she says that with a kind of candor. And she admits that, she says, God rest their souls, and Susan, her daughter, oh well, she was too good for me. That's all she says. And she's still this very rambunctious, upbeat, bodacious sort of personality. She can do that. She knows how to do that. She is square with life. She's square with God. She doesn't hold anything against anybody. Whereas I think maybe when you sort of realize what the tragedy of the Capulets is, you're sort of constantly asking why it happened. And you see maybe perhaps how that influences their relationship with Juliet. Hopefully Romeo and Juliet can be Shakespeare's Pinoy play, his Filipino play. And hopefully we can make it meaningful, relevant, resonant to the Filipino without turning it into a musical or doing very much to it really, but still honoring the text, staying true to the text, and by that, revealing that Shakespeare wrote true to us, even here, even now, today.